Our first story comes from the Washington Post. I don't know if you guys saw this, but a recent article linked America's rising youth unemployment rate, particularly amongst young men, to the increased amount of time they spend gaming. Basically, people would rather stay home and play than look for a job, according to this article. And the concern is that as we flash forward 10 years, there's going to be a large group of people who won't have any work experience. You have to go read this story because I can't encapsulate how crazy it is, at least to me. But the idea here is that a lot of people stay home, play games. One of the things it doesn't acknowledge is that there are people that stay home, play games, and have YouTube channels, make a living off playing games, creating content, hats for Team Fortress or whatever. Matt, what is your take on this idea that gaming is ruining the workforce?
That one's near and dear to my heart because for me, gaming is my job, right? But I'm in a very small percentage of people that have been lucky enough to be able to do that. So to have the Washington Post or whoever wrote the article, I would love to know where they've got that statistic. Yeah. Because for me, when I was growing up, like, I'm the best example in my opinion. Well, I'm the best example for what I think, because it's like when you're growing up, you're going to school, you're going to work, and you have friends or you have hobbies, and you got to keep those things in line and do them as your responsibilities increase as you get older. So as you get mature, you got to get a job and you got to go to college. And if you can't handle those responsibilities, that's kind of on you. So I feel like that's a very weird comment to make, just because it really sells a lot of people short. You know, like if you can't handle those responsibilities, then you shouldn't be at home playing video games. But I think a lot of people have a good grasp on that, you know, and I don't know where that really comes from.
Well, the article said that people are happier playing video games, but they're just not, they're living at home, they're not getting jobs. Troy, I mean, you run into a lot of these fans all the time, sure. And it's like, I feel there are a lot of people that love the art form of video games and get immersed in that. It's a sense of escapism, but I don't see anyone that sort of doesn't want to go work because they're playing games. I mean, you have to afford your lifestyle too.
Sure, I mean, you have to be able to buy the games, first of all. I think that this is probably another example of just people trolling and trying to create more negative content against video gaming because they primarily don't understand the culture that exists that supports the industry. And the reason why the industry exists is because there's people like us who absolutely love these things, not just for escapism, but there's people that I've met before that would be considered severely disabled, and one of these guys came up to Nolan North at a con and said, my son will never be able to go on adventures like Nathan Drake, but because of these games, he can go on adventures with Nathan Drake. So I will take news like that, an anecdotal reference like that, over someone saying, well, we think that people are being slacking because they're staying at home and playing games. And that is not a new story. You can subjugate that word from games to different things. There have always been people who haven't been willing to toe the line and do what they're supposed to do. Gaming is just the newest thing that they can point to. But like you said, I think they should be excited because this is actually creating commerce, it's creating an industry, and it's taking people who are incredibly resilient and self-reliant and being able to create their own career as opposed to just going and getting a job somewhere. They're creating a job and they're creating their own path and their own career. I think it's incredible.
1000%. Justine, what's your take on this story?
I mean, I didn't really like the story very much because most of my friends, everyone is sort of entrepreneurial. They do things like Matt. Everyone has a YouTube channel and is working towards something. And a lot of people aren't working traditional jobs anymore. They are driving Uber, Lyft, Postmates, TaskRabbit. There's so many ways that they can be making money and then also playing games or doing whatever else it is that they're doing. But people are not working traditional jobs or going to traditional colleges because everything that you need to know is online, and you can just make a name for yourself, and you don't have to rely on other people. So, I mean, reading that article, I was getting a little bit upset.
And all you guys have done a great job. And that's the thing is, and the thing I couldn't believe is that there are people making content for games or playing games, learning how to build a level, and then eventually get a job working at a game company and things like that. So there are a lot of ways to do more with games.
Make this your job.
Yeah, I just thought it was incredibly weird. You have responsibilities as you grow up, but like Justine was saying, there are different ways to make money now. But for them to make an assumption that people want to sit at home and play games instead of like going out, being successful, getting a well-paying job, and building a family, just doing the normal things that society is built for the entire idea of.
That's a big jump.
Yeah,
that's a
really big jump.
The world is changing. All right, well, moving on to our next story, which is a little more positive, but does show how the world is changing in a good way. The Girl Scouts have created a brand new patch for video game development. Last weekend, PlayStation in Santa Monica hosted our local Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles for a workshop where Girl Scouts could learn more about the gaming industry and design prototypes and earn their very own video game designer patch. You can see it right here.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool. So, Justine, what do you think of this? Were you a Girl Scout back in the day?
I actually wasn't, because I was doing things like playing video games or trying to figure out how to code websites, and most of my time was spent on a computer or in front of a console or something like that. So this is incredible because most of my audience, I feel like, is a lot of younger girls who are into these sorts of things. So the Girl Scouts are embracing this is awesome, which completely just contradicts everything that last article just said.
So,
One last dig. One last dig into it.
and it could be a YouTuber patch. I mean, there's all these things that people are doing, but the fact that games, and I hear that from a lot of colleges now, like USC here in LA, like half of the applicants for the video game design program are women now who want to like get into game design. So even though I think a lot of people are concerned about diversity at the younger age groups, it feels like this is really positive.
Well, it's something else that I like to see institutions that have such a rich history within our culture and within our country, like the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, and you can look back at some of the greatest leaders of our country. You can look at their resume, and almost all of them will have an Eagle Scout or a high-ranking Girl Scout achievement on that. For an institution like that to look and see, there's an evolution within our culture, and these are things that aren't, again, fringe, but it's actually more mainstream than we think. We want to embrace that and foster that and show that if you want to do things like this, then let's reward you for that and make you work and actually set qualitative goals that you have to achieve in order to get this thing. But I think to be able to reward that for these girls, especially at these formative years, is going to be huge as they get older and they try to achieve something that's outside of a Girl Scouts or a Boy Scouts or something organization. I think it's incredible.
And it feels like it's much more acceptable now, because even growing up, I was the only girl in any of my programming classes all through high school, and it was something that they didn't really push for people to do. Now there's things like Girls Who Code, and things like that are really encouraging for girls. So
Yeah, we didn't get
I'm
beat up, we
excited.
got we didn't get badges, we got beat up for doing
It's
this
true.
stuff.
Yeah, the culture has just changed so much around gaming. There's just so many communities that have been built through this vice, and just to just include women and young girls in it at such a young age, it just gives them so much opportunity to meet other people and just to build friendships and just work on social skills. Like, there are so many different things that are valuable about video games themselves. So to just introduce it at a young age to women, I think, is incredible.
And now the Boy Scouts got to have the esports patch, right?
Yeah, dude.
right? Get some
Raise
tournaments
that
going.
up.